the love you have from God, if you're a Christian, is that God loved you so much that he entered to creation to die on behalf of you.
How can you argue from a logical, philosophical standpoint that God must be all loving? And let me sort of say something about it. There is a concept in Islam called where the what is it? The 99 names of Allah, and one of those is Al-Wadud, when he's his love, right? He's the all loving one, right? What's the difference, you know, from the biblical idea of God being all loving, being unconditional love, and the concept of Allah in Islam? You know, how can you argue from a philosophical standpoint that God must be all loving, and how does that contradicts or bump against the concept of Allah as loving?
Well, if he's asking how a Christian would argue that God is all loving, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I would even phrase it as all loving. I might say perfect in love or something like that. If you say all loving, then it sounds like all he does is love, and that's the only thing God does, and that's just not not the case. I might say perfect in love, and so the question would be, how can you defend the idea that God is perfect in love or something like that? I don't think you could make a good case based on natural theology, right? You could make a case that, you know, God made a universe for people to live in, and then created people, and created us to know right from wrong. And so God is the standard of goodness, and love is good. And so you can make that kind of case from natural theology. But I think you need some special revelation to show you how loving God is. And the love you have from God, if you're a Christian, is that God loved you so much that he entered to creation to die on behalf of you. I don't know of anything. I don't know of any other way that God could express his love more perfectly, how much he loves us, that he loves the people who are brutally torturing and murdering him. I don't know of any way that God could show you more than that he loves you, and that is the ultimate kind of love. So from a Christian perspective, we have very good reasons to think that God is perfect in love. As far as the difference between Islam and Christianity, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but again, if you go to the Old Testament, God gives the law after he liberates the children of Israel from bondage. Then he gives them the law. Notice, first he loved them at the start, and then they love him in return, right? So God initiates this. In Christianity, it's amplified far more than this, that God loves human sinners who are in rebellion against him so much that he's the one who dies on the cross for our rebellion, and then he empowers us to love him. So God is initiating all of this. In Islam, God just doesn't love you. God doesn't love you until you love him, you obey his prophet, and if you're really, 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 really good, Allah will eventually love you. And so you're the one initiating. And notice, but by the way, Jorge, that's the kind of love that Jesus condemned in Matthew 5, right? If you only love those who love you, what more are you doing than sinners, tax collectors? He says these things over and over again, right?
Yeah, even the evil ones do that, you know.
Yeah, everyone does that. Everyone loves people who first love them. What are you doing, right? And so the love that you have from Allah in the Quran is the sort of love that Jesus condemned as no better than the love of, you know, sinners and tax collectors and things like that. So yeah, I'd say big difference there.